A home is not first changed by altered circumstances. It is first changed when the Jesus kind of love is enthroned in the hearts of the men and women who live there. You see, we have thought that if the bill were paid, if the child were different, if the husband were tender, if the wife were quiet, if the pressure were removed, then peace would come. But peace does not begin in the circumstance. Peace begins where love takes its legal right to rule. God is love. That is not a sentence for the walls of a church alone. That is the great fact for the kitchen, for the bedroom, for the family table, for the hallway where hard words have been spoken, for the strained conversation where two hearts stand armed against each other. God is love, and when God has given his place in a home, love has come to govern. Not human affection, not natural sweetness when all things are pleasant, not the poor little love that loves when it is loved and grows cold when it is wounded. I mean the Jesus kind of love, the love that has the nature of the Father in it, the love that never faileth, the love that worketh no ill to his neighbor, the love that fulfills the law. Many have prayed for peace in the house, but they have not prayed until love had authority over the tongue. They have prayed that the noise might cease, but they have not yielded the temper to love's lordship. They have asked God to quiet the trouble, but they have kept the old grievance sitting in the chair of memory, rehearsing what was said, what was done, what was not done, what should have been given, what should have been understood. Can you see it? The prayer that changes a home is not merely a cry that God will make someone else different. It is the surrender by which the one who prays says, "Father, let thy love rule me first. Let love govern my voice, my look, my answer, my silence, my memory, and the atmosphere I carry into this room." What it would mean if love had legal rule in the house. Can you imagine it? Not fear ruling there. Not hurt pride ruling there. Not sense knowledge ruling there, saying, "I know what I saw, I know what I heard, I know what they meant, I know what they deserve." Not the old grievance ruling there with its bitter documents and its long account book. But love. The Jesus kind of love, sitting on the throne. Love saying to the tongue, "You shall not wound." Love saying to the temper, "You shall not govern." Love saying to memory, "You shall not poison this table." Love saying to fear, "You shall not prophesy over these children." Love saying to reason, "You shall not build a wall where the Father wants a door." That is the first victory. It may be that the face across the room has not yet softened. It may be that the outward thing remains as it was an hour ago. The same problem may be there, the same bill may be there, the same misunderstanding may be waiting. But something has happened in the unseen. Love has been given right of way. The recreated spirit has answered God. The throne has changed hands. Selfishness has been denied dominion, and the love nature of the Father has been allowed to speak. Prayer first changes the one who prays. That is where so many have missed it. They wanted prayer to rearrange the house, while they remained unyielded within the house. They wanted God to come in as a servant of their complaint, but he comes in as Lord. And when he comes, he brings his own nature. God is love. When love is yielded to, God is yielded to. When love is obeyed, God is obeyed. When love is enthroned, the Father has found a place in that home. Then, through that yielded spirit, the atmosphere begins to be recreated. Words carry a new fragrance. Silence loses its hardness. The meal is no longer only food on a table, it becomes a place where love may minister. The bedroom is no longer a chamber of distance, it becomes a place where mercy can breathe. The kitchen is no longer a workshop of irritation, it becomes God's flower garden of the soul. You see, the home is waiting for someone to give love its rights. It is waiting for one Jesus man, one Jesus woman, one child of love to say, "From this hour, love shall have authority here." Now, what is this thing we call the atmosphere of a home? It is not the paper on the wall, nor the furniture in the rooms, nor the curtains at the window. It is the unseen thing that meets you when you open the door. It is the spirit of the words that have been spoken there. It is the memory of the silences. It is the look in the eyes of the mother, the tone in the voice of the father, the quick fear in the child, the little habits of tenderness or the little habits of suspicion that have been practiced until they have become a climate. You see, a home breathes. It breathes what the people in it yield to. If anger has had right of way, the rooms breathe anger. If criticism has been enthroned, the walls seem to know it. If fear has been allowed to prophesy day after day, the children learn to listen for trouble before they listen for love. If suspicion has sat at the table, then even the food is eaten under pressure. There may be no loud quarrel at the moment, and yet the atmosphere may be heavy with things unspoken. There may be smiles before strangers, but in the home there is a coldness, a strain, a waiting for the next wound. Many have treated the home as though it were only a set of practical problems. They say, "We need more money." They say, "We need a larger house." They say, "The children are difficult." They say, "My husband does not understand me." They say, "My wife is not what she used to be." And there may be truth in some of these things. Bills do press, bodies do grow tired, children do test the patience, husbands and wives do misunderstand one another. But beneath these visible things, there is another thing, and that is the government under which the home is living. Is it living under the law of self, or is it living under the love law? That is the question. Not merely who was right in the last argument, not merely who spoke first, who spoke loudest, who failed, who forgot, who wounded. The deeper question is this: what law was ruling when those words were spoken? Was it selfishness saying, "I must be heard, I must be defended, I must have my way"? Was it sense knowledge saying, "I know what they meant, I know what they deserve, I will not yield"? Or was it the Jesus kind of love saying, "I will work no ill, I will not answer in kind, I will not let bitterness make my mouth its instrument"? A troubled home is not simply a place where people disagree. It is often a spiritual atmosphere waiting for the love law to be enforced. The husband speaks sharply, and the wife answers from the old wound. The wife speaks out of weariness, and the husband retreats into hardness. The children sit at the table and learn the language of fear without anyone teaching them a lesson. They learn by atmosphere. They learn by the tone. They learn by what happens after the door closes. They learn whether love is only a word used in prayer or whether love is the ruler of conduct. And this is where prayer and conduct cannot be separated. A man cannot kneel and ask God to bless his home and then rise and give selfishness his tongue. A woman cannot ask the Father to bring peace into the house and then cherish resentment as though it were a treasure. We cannot ask God to pour fragrance into the rooms while we carry bitterness from room to room. Prayer is not a cloak to cover an unyielded spirit. Prayer is the place where the spirit bows, and then love walks out through the lips, through the hands, through the look in the eye, through the soft answer, through the refusal to rehearse the wrong. Natural affection may grow tired. Human love may be sweet in the morning and bitter by night. It may love while it is admired and grow cold when it is neglected. It may give when it is praised and withdraw when it is wounded. But the Jesus kind of love is born of God. It does not wait for the other one to act rightly before it becomes itself. It has its source in the Father. God is love. We are born of God, and the love nature has been put within us. That love can live in a hard room and begin to soften it. It can sit at a strained table and refuse to add poison to the meal. It can hear an unjust word and answer from the recreated spirit. Can you see what that would mean in your home? The conflict is not merely between two temperaments. It is not merely that one is quiet and the other is quick, that one is strong and the other is sensitive. Behind it all there is a contest for the throne. The law of self says, protect yourself, answer back, remember the wrong. The love law says, bless, forgive, bear, believe, endure, speak life. And when one person in that home gives love its right of way, the atmosphere begins to feel the authority of God. Love never faileth. God is love. And where love is allowed to govern, the home has come under another kingdom. Now we come to the secret of your authority. You are not being asked to manufacture the Jesus kind of love out of poor, weak, bruised human affection. You are not being asked to draw water out of a dry well. You are not being asked to put a smile on the face while the heart remains a battlefield. No, you see, the miracle is deeper than conduct. The miracle is nature. If any man is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things are passed away. Behold, they are become new. That new creation is born of God, and God is love. Then the love nature of God has come into the recreated spirit. Can you see what that means? The believer does not enter the home merely as a tired husband, a wounded wife, a burdened mother, a misunderstood father, a child who has suffered, or a man who has been wronged. He enters as one born of God. She enters as one in whom eternal life has been planted. The same nature that was in Jesus, that bore with Peter, that forgave his enemies, that washed the feet of men who did not understand him, that went to the cross without bitterness, has been given to the child of God. This is not natural love improved. This is not culture. This is not temperament. This is not a pleasant disposition. This is the life of God in the commonplaces of life. We have made too much of our weakness and too little of His nature in us. We have said, I cannot help it. This is the way I am. We have said, my father was quick-tempered, and I am quick-tempered. We have said, you do not know what I have lived with. We have said, if they spoke differently, I could be different. But the new creation does not take its law from the old inheritance. It does not take its conduct from the last wound. It does not take its speech from the last insult. It takes its nature from God. God is love. We are born of God. Therefore love is in us, not as a dream, not as poetry, not as a beautiful Sunday word, but as the practical working power of eternal life. The husband does not need a new argument first. He has had arguments enough. He has sharpened words enough. He has proved his point and lost his peace. What he needs is the new nature released in the place where his pride has ruled. The wife does not need a new weapon first. She may have learned the answer that wounds, the silence that punishes, the memory that gathers every failure and lays it out before her heart. But what she needs is not a better weapon. She needs the love life to be given right of way. The parent does not need louder authority first. Loudness may command the room and lose the child. Harshness may stop the act and harden the spirit. The home needs the nature of God released through the father, through the mother, through the one who will say, I am born of love, and love shall govern me here. Reason will argue against this. Sense knowledge will stand up and say, but you know what they did. You know what they said. You know how long this has gone on. You know that if you yield, they will take advantage of you. Sense knowledge always speaks from what it can see, hear, feel, and remember. It says, I will answer as I have been answered. I will treat them as they have treated me. I will protect myself. But the recreated spirit says, I will act as Jesus would act in my place. I will let the Father's nature answer through me. I will not allow another's failure to become the law of my conduct. That is where victory begins. Not when everyone in the house has agreed with you. Not when the atmosphere has already become sweet. Not when the hard face has softened. Victory begins when the new creation takes its place and says, I have the nature that can heal. I have the love of God shed abroad in my heart. I am not helpless before bitterness. I am not a slave to temper. I am not bound to repeat the old family speech. I am a Jesus man. I am a Jesus woman. I carry another kind of life into these rooms. What it would mean if you began to think of yourself that way. Not as the defeated one in the home, not as the neglected one, not as the one who must always defend himself, not as the one who has been sentenced by the past, but as a child of love, a son of love, a daughter of love, one in whom the Father has deposited his own nature. Can you imagine going to the table with that consciousness? Can you imagine washing the dishes with that consciousness? Can you imagine opening the bill, disciplining the child, answering the criticism, forgiving the neglect, bearing the fatigue, speaking the next sentence with this inward knowledge, God is love, and I am born of God? This is where Christianity becomes beautiful in the home. It is not merely in the hymn. It is not merely in the prayer meeting. It is not merely in the Bible lying open on the stand. It is in the voice when the body is tired. It is in the answer when the heart is hurt. It is in the hand that serves when no one says thank you. It is in the confession that says, "Dear, forgive me. I should not have said that." It is in the discipline that corrects without crushing. It is in the patience that pays bills without fear ruling the conversation. It is in the love words that have the fragrance of the Father upon them. You see, the believer can pray for the home with authority because the believer is not standing there empty. He is not pleading as one who has no resources. The life of God is in him. The love nature of God is in him. The wisdom of love is in him. The strength of love is in him. And when that love is yielded to, the Father has a channel. The home may still have problems, but now there is a healer in the midst. The rooms may still remember old voices, but now another voice has begun to speak. The family may still carry pain, but now the new creation is carrying the nature that can heal a family. Now, if love is the nature of the new creation, then love must become the law of the new creation. In this new covenant, there are not first many little household rules, many little commandments hung upon the wall, many little human arrangements by which one person keeps another in order. There is one ruling word: love. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. You see, the home that is born again in its atmosphere must come under this one law, this love law, this Jesus law, this law of the Father's own nature. Every step out of love is a step into trouble. I wish you would let that sink down into your spirit. Every step out of love gives confusion a place to stand. Every step out of love gives bitterness a chair at the table. Every step out of love gives accusation a voice. Every step out of love gives coldness a room in which to live. Every step out of love weakens the very hand that is lifted in prayer. You may be right in your facts and wrong in your spirit. You may have seen clearly what was done, and yet, if you step out of love in your answer, you have left the place of mastery. You have gone down into the realm where selfishness, pride, fear, and sense knowledge rule. Can you see it? The law of love does not merely govern the great crises, it governs the next sentence. It governs the tone in which the husband answers the wife. It governs the look with which the mother corrects the child. It governs the little laugh that cuts like a knife. It governs the sarcastic answer that seems clever for a moment, but leaves a wound that may bleed all day. It governs the old accusation that is brought out again after God has asked you to bury it. It governs the raised voice that says, "I must be heard," when love would have said, "I must not wound." It governs the cruel silence that shuts the door of fellowship and says, "Now suffer because I am hurt." It governs the careless joke that shames a child, belittles a wife, dishonors a husband, or makes the home unsafe for tenderness. Oh, words are mighty things in the home. They are not empty sounds. They are carriers. They carry fear, or they carry faith. They carry hardness, or they carry healing. They carry the fragrance of love, or they carry the poison of self. A man may say, "I was only joking," but love knows whether the joke left a bruise. A woman may say, "I only said what was true," But love asks whether truth was made a sword in the hand of bitterness. A parent may say, "The child needed discipline." But love asks whether discipline came from the father's nature or from an irritated temper. No one sins who walks in love. No one builds a love home while he gives his tongue to cruelty. Then love must govern memory. Ah, memory has furnished many homes with the furniture of yesterday's wounds. The old hurt sits in the front room. The old failure is kept polished and ready for use. The old disappointment is brought to the table and seated between husband and wife. The old word, spoken years ago perhaps, is carried from room to room as though it were a sacred possession. But love does not keep furnishing the present with the furniture of yesterday's pain. Love does not say, "I forgive," and then keep the account book open. Love does not make the children live under the shadow of quarrels that should have been buried. Love does not let yesterday's darkness arrange today's conversation. You see, sense knowledge lives by memory when memory has not been yielded to love. It says, "Remember what he did. Remember what she said. Remember how they failed you. Remember how lonely you felt. Remember how you were overlooked." And reason stands beside it and says, "You must protect yourself." But the recreated spirit says, "I will let love rule my memory. I will remember mercy. I will remember the blood. I will remember that God has not dealt with me after my sins. I will not give yesterday power to poison today." What it would mean if the home were delivered from loveless memory. Can you imagine breakfast without old accusations? Can you imagine an evening without the rehearsed grievance? Can you imagine the face of a child when the atmosphere is no longer filled with things that happened before he understood them? And love must govern authority. The father in the home is not called to be a tyrant. The mother in the home is not called to be a queen of fear. The husband is not given strength that he may crush. The wife is not given influence that she may rule by tears, silence, or manipulation. The older child is not given place that he may dominate the younger. Authority outside love is not spiritual authority. It is merely self using a throne. The father is king only as he serves love. The mother is queen only as she lets the father's tenderness reign through her. The children are safest, not where everyone is afraid of punishment, but where love is the reigning power. A love home is a little kingdom, but its crown is service, its scepter is kindness, its law is the Jesus kind of love. The father may have the final word, but if that word is not born of love, it has lost heaven's fragrance. The mother may carry the burden of the rooms, the meals, the children, the 1,000 little cares that no one sees. But if she lets resentment govern her service, the fragrance is gone. The husband and wife may know the scriptures and talk of prayer, but if they rule one another by sharpness, withdrawal, threat, or accusation, they have stepped outside the love law. And when they step outside love, they step outside the place where faith works its mightiest works. For faith worketh by love. Prayer draws its domestic authority from a spirit that refuses to leave love. What weakness comes into prayer when a man kneels after wounding his wife and will not confess it? What weakness comes into prayer when a woman asks God to change the home while she secretly cherishes better moments? What weakness comes when parents pray for their children while their own words have made the children afraid of the God they name? Prayer that ignores the love law becomes weak in the very place where it seeks dominion. It may be loud, but it is not strong. It may be long, but it is not fragrant. It may ask for peace, but it has not yielded the instrument through which peace would come. This is why the one who prays must become the one who walks in love. The prayer closet must not be a refuge from obedience. It must be the place where love takes command of the tongue, the temper, the memory, the authority, the next step. If you have stepped out of love, step back quickly. Do not argue with the Spirit. Do not defend the sarcastic word. Do not justify the cold silence. Do not keep the old accusation alive. Say, "Father, I have left the love way. I have given trouble a place to stand. I take my place again in love." Then go to the one you wounded and say the words that have resurrection in them. "Dear, forgive me. I should not have said that." That sentence may do more for your home than an hour of argument. It may open a door that pride has kept shut for years. It may teach the children more gospel than 100 lectures. It may bring Jesus into the room in a way that everyone can feel. For love never faileth. God is love, and prayer has its authority in the home when the one who prays refuses to step outside the law of love. Now we must bring this out of the prayer closet and put it down at the table. It is not enough that love speaks beautifully to God in secret if it does not speak gently to the family in the next room. It is not enough that the spirit is tender while the door is closed if the tongue becomes hard when the door is opened. You see, the prayer that changes a home must walk on 2 feet. It must kneel before the Father, and then it must rise and become conduct. It must become the tone in the next conversation. It must become the look in the eye. It must become the hand laid quietly upon the shoulder. It must become the soft answer when everything in sense knowledge demands a sharp one. Many have separated prayer from the home life. They have had a prayer vocabulary and a household vocabulary. They have said, "Father, I thank thee for thy love," and then have spoken words with no love fragrance in them. They have said, "Lord, have thy way," and then have insisted upon their own way before the meal was finished. They have asked God to rule the home, and then have let temper rule the kitchen, pride rule the bedroom, fear rule the children, and resentment rule the evening. Oh, that is where the weakness has come. It is not that the Father did not hear the prayer. It is that the one who prayed did not let the prayer possess his voice. Can you see how searching this is? A man may pray with tears and yet wound his wife with one careless sentence. A woman may speak of consecration and yet punish her husband with a cold silence. A parent may ask God to bless the children and then make the children shrink under a tone that has no tenderness in it. We have thought the prayer closet was a sacred place, and it is. But the table is sacred also. The door where your tired child meets you is sacred. The chair where your wife sits with a weary heart is sacred. The little moment when your husband comes in burdened and says the wrong thing is sacred. These are the places where love is tested. These are the places where the Jesus kind of love asks for right of way. The test often comes immediately after prayer. You rise from your knees, and there stands the difficult one. You have just said, "Thy will be done," and now a will crosses yours. You have just said, "Lord, make me a blessing," and now a child spills something, cries loudly, answers foolishly, or asks again for what you have already refused. You have just said, "I trust thee," and now the bill is still unpaid, the letter has not come, the money is delayed, and fear knocks at the door of your mind. You have just said, "I forgive," and now memory brings back the old scene, the old word, the old hurt, and asks to be rehearsed one more time. That is the moment. That little moment is greater than many suppose. The home may turn upon that moment. The atmosphere may be sweetened or poisoned by that next answer. Reason will spring up quickly and say, "You have a right to speak. You have been patient long enough. They should know better. You must defend yourself." Sense knowledge will bring its witnesses. It will say, "Remember what happened yesterday. Remember how many times this has been repeated. Remember how unfair this is." But the recreated spirit knows another law. The recreated spirit says, "Give love right of way now. Do not wait until the argument is full grown. Do not wait until pride has seated itself on the throne. Answer from love before selfishness has arranged its case." You must give your spirit right away. Do it immediately. Do not debate with the old nature. Do not sit in the council chamber of wounded pride. Do not let reason plead for the privilege of being unkind. The Jesus kind of love is not slow when the Spirit has command. It is prompt, it is practical, it is audible. It says, I will not wound. It says, I will not repeat that story. It says, I will not answer in kind. It says, I will not make this child pay for my weariness. It says, I will not make this wife live under my pressure. It says, I will not make this husband feel the lash of my memory. Love takes the next word and baptizes it in the Father's tenderness. And when you fail, love has a way back. Pride has no way back except self-justification. Pride must explain, defend, accuse, and cover itself, but love can bow. Love can say the words that pride hates and heaven honors. Forgive me, I should not have said that. There is authority in that sentence. Do not think it is weakness. Do not think it is defeat. It is one of love's strongest acts of mastery. It is love refusing to let pride remain on the throne. It is love driving the enemy from the place he had taken in the conversation. It is love saying, this home shall not be governed by my temper. This child shall not remember me as one who never confessed. This husband, this wife, shall not be left bleeding while I protect my dignity. What it would mean if that sentence were heard in our homes. Can you imagine a father turning to a child and saying, forgive me, I should not have spoken that way? Can you imagine a mother saying it before the wound hardens? Can you imagine a husband saying it without argument, without a long explanation, without adding another accusation to it? Can you imagine a wife saying it with tears and fellowship beginning again where silence had built a wall? The children would learn the gospel in that moment. They would see that love is not a theory. They would see that prayer has become flesh in the home. They would know that God is love because they had seen love humble itself. Confession is not the loss of authority, it is the cleansing of authority. A father who confesses quickly has not lost his place. He has made his place fragrant. A mother who asks forgiveness has not become small, she has become beautiful with the beauty of the Father. A husband who bows before love is not dethroned, selfishness is dethroned. A wife who refuses to let bitterness speak is not defeated, she is walking in the victory of the new creation. Love never faileth. It may look weak to sense knowledge, but it carries the power of God. So let the prayer closet follow you. Let it follow you to breakfast. Let it follow you to the bills. Let it follow you to the tired hour of evening. Let it follow you into the room where the old irritation waits. Let it follow you when memory asks for one more hearing. Let the words you spoke to the Father become the words you speak to the family. The home begins to change when love becomes prompt, practical, and audible. The prayer that changes a home is the prayer that becomes a yielded voice, a soft answer, and a quick confession. God is love, and when love is given a tongue in the house, the Father has found a new doorway through which to enter. Now can you imagine what it would mean if the home ceased to be a place where Jesus is merely named and became a place where Jesus is consciously welcomed? Not a picture on the wall, not a doctrine in the mind, not a verse remembered in trouble only, but the Master himself, given room in the common life. He said, if a man love me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him, and make our abode with him. Think of that, the Father and the Son coming to make their home with the one who loves. Not a passing call, not a brief visit in the hour of worship, not a Sunday guest, an abode, a dwelling, the Master coming in to live. You see, this is where prayer begins to recreate awareness. Before it rearranges events, it opens the eyes of the heart. The house may look the same, the chairs may be the same, the unpaid bill may still lie upon the table, the difficult temperament may still be there, the child may still be crying, the old problem may still be unsolved. But the one who has prayed begins to see the home differently. This is not merely a house of human wills, human memories, human nerves, human fears. This is a dwelling place of God. The Father is here, the Son is here, love is here, wisdom is here, mercy is here. The love law is not far away in heaven, it has come into the room. What it would mean if Jesus were consciously present in the quarrel before it started.
Can you imagine the husband drawing in his breath to speak the old sharp word and suddenly remembering, "The Master is here"? Can you imagine the wife gathering the old answer, the answer that has wounded before, and then seeing Jesus standing in the midst of that conversation? Can you imagine a mother ready to answer the child's tears with impatience, and then remembering that the Father hears those tears before she does? Can you imagine a father opening the bill, feeling fear rise like a storm, and then saying, "This paper is not Lord in this house. Fear is not Lord here. Jesus is Lord here"? That is not imagination in the sense of unreality. That is the imagination of faith. Sense knowledge sees only the bill, the face, the voice, the failure, the fatigue. Faith sees the Master in the home. Faith hears him say, "My peace I give unto you." Faith remembers that the Father himself loves us. Faith says, "We are not alone at this table. We are not alone in this kitchen. We are not alone in this bedroom where coldness has been allowed to sleep between two hearts. We are not alone in this nursery where little tears have fallen. God is love, and love has come to dwell with us." The home begins to change when the family stops treating Jesus as a doctrine and begins yielding to him as the present Lord of the house. If he is Lord, then temper is not Lord. If he is Lord, then resentment is not Lord. If he is Lord, then fear over the bill is not Lord. If he is Lord, then the old wound is not Lord. If he is Lord, then selfishness has lost its throne. You cannot consciously make room for the Master and at the same time give the best chair in the house to bitterness. You cannot say, "Abide with us," and then let cruel words rule the evening. You cannot welcome the Father and make the child afraid of the atmosphere that bears his name. Oh, what a transformation begins in the unseen place. The kitchen loses its bitterness. It may still have dishes. It may still have weariness. It may still have the 1,000 little tasks that no one praises. But resentment no longer seasons the meal. The table loses its tension. It may still hold simple food. It may still hold the conversation that must be faced. But accusation no longer sits at the head of it. The bedroom loses its coldness. Pride may have lain there many nights, but now love comes softly and says, "Let fellowship begin again." The children feel safety returning. They may not understand the doctrine of indwelling, but they understand the tone. They understand the look. They understand when harshness has gone out of the air. They know when Jesus has been given room. This does not mean that every difficulty disappears in a moment. No, you see, divine presence in the home does not always remove the problem instantly, but it changes the government under which the problem is faced. The bill may still need to be paid, but fear no longer has the right to rule the conversation. The child may still need correction, but irritation no longer has the right to use the rod of authority. The husband and wife may still need to speak of painful things, but bitterness no longer has the right to frame the words. The sickness may still be in the room. The disappointment may still be remembered. The practical burden may still be heavy. But another government has come. Love has taken the throne. The Father's presence has become the atmosphere. There is a house ruled by reaction. In that house, everyone protects self. One answers quickly because he must not be humbled. Another withdraws because she must not be hurt again. The child hides because he must not be struck by words. The table becomes a court. The bedroom becomes a wall. The kitchen becomes a place where unspoken grievances work like smoke in the air. Everyone is defending something. Everyone is remembering something. Everyone is waiting for someone else to change first. But there is a house ruled by fellowship. In that house they are learning, perhaps slowly, but truly, to yield to love. The father learns to pause before he speaks because the master is present. The mother learns to cast the care upon the father before care hardens her voice. The husband learns to cherish instead of conquer. The wife learns to answer from the recreated spirit instead of from wounded memory. The children learn that correction can come without rejection, that authority can have tenderness in it, that God is not merely preached, but lived. That is a love home. That is a little sanctuary. That is the common house becoming fragrant with the presence of the Father. Can you see it? Prayer does not merely ask God to come and fix what we have kept under our own government. Prayer says, Father, take thy place. Jesus, be Lord here. Holy Spirit, give love right of way in me. Then the praying one rises and treats the house as a dwelling place of God. He does not carry the old roughness into the room as though he were alone. She does not carry the old bitterness into the conversation as though no divine ear were listening. They begin to act as though John's promise were true. We will come unto him and make our abode with him. The Father and the Son are given room. And from that hour the home has another possibility. The same rooms that heard quarrels may hear confession. The same table that trembled under tension may become a place of peace. The same child who learned fear may learn trust. The same husband and wife who guarded themselves may find fellowship returning, quietly at first, tenderly, like the first light in the morning. God is love. When love is welcomed as Lord, the house is no longer merely a shelter for bodies. It becomes a dwelling place of God, and the government of heaven begins to touch ordinary human life. But now we must see the harder side of this love life. The Jesus kind of love does not always look victorious when it first begins to act.
Sometimes it looks as though it is lost. Sometimes it looks as though it has yielded too much, borne too much, waited too long, spoken too softly. Sense knowledge looks at love when it is silent under accusation and says, that is defeat. Reason looks at love when it refuses revenge and says, you are being made nothing. Pride looks at love when it bows first and says, you have surrendered your rights. But the recreated spirit knows a secret that sense knowledge has never learned. The cross was love's method of war on sin. Can you see it? At Calvary, love did not cease to be love because nails were driven through its hands. Love did not become bitter because it was misunderstood. Love did not turn cruel because cruelty had done its worst. Love did not answer hatred in the language of hatred. Love suffered. Love bore, love prayed, love trusted the Father. Men mocked it. Devils thought they had conquered it. Sense knowledge saw a helpless man hanging between earth and heaven and called it failure. But God saw love refusing to surrender its nature. God saw love conquering by remaining love. God saw the Lamb overcoming. That is the law of the home also. Love's authority in the home is often proven by its willingness to bear the cross without surrendering its nature. I do not mean that love calls destruction holy. I do not mean that love asks a wife, a husband, or a child to make peace with violence, drunken cruelty, or evil dominion. Love is not cowardice. Love is not the helplessness of fear. Love has wisdom in it, righteousness in it, truth in it. But I do mean this. Injury must not be allowed to recreate the injured one in the image of hatred. The wrong done to you must not be given power to make you wrong in spirit. The bitterness of another must not become the law of your own heart. You see, that is where many homes lose their victory. One has been wounded, and the wound begins to preach. One has been neglected, and neglect begins to rule the voice. One has been accused, and accusation becomes the language of the house. One has been lonely, and loneliness hardens into coldness. Then the injured one becomes a servant of the very thing that injured him. Hatred reproduces itself. Bitterness finds another tongue.
cruelty, finds another hand. But the Jesus kind of love stands in the midst of the home and says, "No, I will bear pain, but I will not become cruel. I will suffer wrong, but I will not surrender to bitterness. I will trust the Father with vindication, but I will not give revenge a throne in me." Oh, there are domestic crosses. They may never be seen by the crowd. There may be no crown of thorns that men can look upon, no public trial, no soldiers, no hill outside the city. But there is the cross of being misunderstood in the house where you have tried to love. There is the cross of making the first apology when pride says the other should come first. There is the cross of serving without applause, cooking without gratitude, laboring without recognition, carrying the burden that no one names. There is the cross of blessing where one has been blamed. There is the cross of praying when the feelings are cold and the heart seems empty. There is the cross of speaking gently when the old wound rises and asks for a weapon. Can you imagine what it would mean if love bore those crosses without losing its fragrance? A father misunderstood by his children, yet refusing to become harsh. A mother wearied by hidden burdens, yet refusing to make the home pay for her pain. A husband wounded by distance, yet refusing to answer with contempt. A wife blamed unfairly, yet refusing to poison the table with resentment. A child corrected wrongly, yet learning later, by the grace of God, not to build a life out of rebellion. That is not natural. Natural love cannot do it long. Human affection, when it is wounded, often turns to anger. But we are not dealing merely with human affection. We are born of God, and God is love.
Sense knowledge will tell you that this love way is weakness. It will say, strike back, close your heart, make them feel what you have felt, protect yourself by becoming hard. But hardness is not protection. Hardness is another prison. Bitterness is not strength. Bitterness is a chain fastened first upon the one who holds it. The man who will not forgive is not master in his home. He is mastered by the thing he remembers. The woman who will not release bitterness is not reigning. She is being ruled by yesterday. The parent who disciplines from wounded pride is not strong. He is under the dominion of self. But the one who will not be ruled by bitterness has already conquered the greatest enemy in the home. That is spiritual authority. It is not loudness. It is not the ability to win the argument. It is not the right to have the last word. It is the triumph of the recreated spirit over self. It is love standing where hatred expected to reign. It is the Father's nature finding expression in a human heart under pressure. When a man could be cruel and will not be, when a woman could answer with memory and will not, when a parent could crush and instead corrects with tenderness, when one who has been blamed still blesses, there is a conquest in the unseen realm. Love never faileth. It may go by way of the cross, but it does not end at the cross. For the cross is never love's final word. Following the cross leads to the empty tomb. The home may not look changed in a day. The old problem may still stand there. The difficult heart may not yet have softened. The conversation may still be tender with pain. But resurrection life has already begun in the one who let love rule. Something has risen inside. A new government has been established. The enemy came to reproduce hatred, and he failed. The wound came to make another wounder, and it failed. Selfishness came to claim the throne, and love denied it dominion. So do not despise the hidden cross in your home. Do not call love defeated because it refuses revenge. Do not say prayer has failed because love is still bearing. The Lamb is the conqueror. God is love, and when the Jesus kind of love bears the cross in an ordinary room without surrendering its nature, resurrection has already begun to breathe in that house. Now we must look at the little witnesses in the home. They may not understand our doctrines, but they understand our atmosphere. They may not be able to define the new creation, but they know whether Father's voice has love in it. They may not be able to quote 1 Corinthians 13, but they know when kindness has gone out of the room. You see, children breathe what adults often deny. They feel the quarrel before the words are spoken. They feel the coldness at the table. They feel the pressure of unpaid bills in the tone of the parent. They know when prayer has been said, and they know whether prayer has followed us into conduct. The home preaches every day. It preaches in the morning when weariness is on the mother's face. It preaches in the evening when the father comes in burdened. It preaches when money is short, when the meal is simple, when the child is foolish, when the husband and wife disagree, when someone must say, "Forgive me, I was wrong." Oh, what sermons are preached without a Bible in the hand! What messages are spoken by a look, by a sigh, by a slammed door, by a gentle hand, by a soft answer. The children are listening. The younger ones are reading the gospel we live. Can you imagine a little child kneeling with the family while prayer is offered, hearing the name of Jesus spoken with reverence, hearing, "Lord, let thy love rule in this home," and then before the hour has passed, hearing harsh words fly across the table? The little heart does not argue theology. It simply wonders. It wonders whether love is only for church. It wonders whether Jesus is only for prayer time. It wonders why the name that sounded so sweet a few moments ago is followed by a house that feels so hard. That child may say nothing. He may go quietly to his room. But something has been preached to him. And can you imagine another home? The prayer is not perfect in words, but love follows it. The father is tired, yet he will not let fatigue become cruelty. The mother is pressed, yet she will not make the children pay for the pressure. There is correction, but it is not rejection. There is authority, but tenderness walks with it. There is disagreement, but bitterness is not allowed to take the chair. And when a wrong word is spoken, someone bows before love and says, "Forgive me, I should not have said that." What a gospel that is to a child. He learns that kindness is not weakness. He learns that apology is not shame. He learns that the name of Jesus belongs with peace. That is the first pulpit for many children. The home is the pulpit before the church becomes one. The table is the pulpit. The kitchen is the pulpit. The bedroom where parents speak quietly after pain is the pulpit. The way money pressure is carried is the pulpit. The way correction is given is the pulpit. The way weariness is denied the right to be cruel is the pulpit. If love has dominion there, the child sees the new creation life made practical. He sees that God is love, not merely because someone said it, but because love has taken flesh in the ordinary hours of the home. And it is not the children only. The old mother who lives in the back room feels whether love reigns. The relative who comes with a wounded spirit feels whether the house is safe. The guest at the table feels whether there is peace under the words. The neighbor who steps in during trouble feels whether this is a common home ruled by common selfishness or a love home where another nature has taken charge. Wounded family members, those who have long expected sharpness, begin to know when the atmosphere is changing. They may not have language for it, but they know. Love has a fragrance. Love has a sound. Love has a warmth that cannot be hidden. So let the home preach the Jesus kind of love. Let the children grow where prayer is real, where correction is clean, where confession is quick, where kindness is strong, where the name of Jesus is joined to the sound of peace. Then the home becomes evidence. It becomes a living sermon that the new creation is not a theory, that the love law can govern speech, temper, money, weariness, and memory. God is love, and when that love governs the home, the youngest witness in the house can understand the gospel before he can explain it. Now we come back to prayer authority. For many have tried to command peace in the house while permitting selfishness to command their conduct. They have spoken to the atmosphere, but they have not spoken to self. They have rebuked trouble, but they have excused temper. They have prayed against confusion, but they have allowed self-pity to sit in the inner chamber and interpret every word, every look, every delay, every wound. You see, the first place where authority must be exercised is not over the other person. It is over the self-life that would dethrone love in the one who prays. Authority is not loudness. Authority is not a hard voice. Authority is not the flesh trying to sound spiritual. Authority is the recreated spirit standing in union with the will and nature of God. It is love speaking with the confidence of heaven. It is the heart that has yielded to the Father, saying, "This house shall not be governed by hatred. This table shall not be governed by fear. This conversation shall not be governed by old injuries. Love has the right of way here." That is authority. It may be spoken softly, but heaven hears it. Devils know it. The atmosphere feels it. For God is love, and the man or woman who walks in love is walking in the very current of God's own nature.
Selfishness is the great enemy of the home. It may wear many garments, but it is one spirit. Sometimes it is self-defense, always explaining, always justifying, always proving that it is right. Sometimes it is self-pity, nursing its hurt and saying, "No one understands me, no one sees what I bear." Sometimes it is self-importance, demanding that every face turn toward it, every burden bow before it, every inconvenience be treated as an injury. Sometimes it is self-vindication, keeping records, building arguments, waiting for the hour when it can say, "I told you." Sometimes it is the demand to be served, the silent tyranny that turns marriage into servitude, parenthood into irritation, and the family table into a place where one appetite rules many hearts. Can you see what that means? Selfishness is not a little weakness to be politely excused. It is the old lordship trying to enter the new creation home. It is the law of the old man seeking a throne in a house that belongs to Jesus. It is the spirit that says, "My feeling first, my pain first, my rights first, my memory first, my comfort first." And wherever selfishness is given dominion, love is hindered. The prayer may be beautiful in words, but the atmosphere waits to see who will govern when prayer is over. So the praying one must begin here. "Father, let your love rule my reason, my speech, my memory, my body, and my reactions. Let your love rule the quick answer before it escapes my lips. Let your love rule the old wound before it becomes accusation. Let your love rule my face when I am tired. Let your love rule my hands when I serve. Let your love rule my body when weariness pleads for the right to be harsh. Let your love rule my memory when yesterday rises to govern today." That is not weakness. That is spiritual enforcement. That is the recreated spirit refusing self the throne. Then prayer can rise in authority over the home. Then you can walk through the rooms and speak peace, not as one pretending there has been no pain, but as one refusing to let pain become ruler. Pain may be there. Tears may have fallen there. Harsh words may have been spoken there. A silence may have slept in that room for many nights. But pain is not Lord. Memory is not Lord. Fear is not Lord. Jesus is Lord. The love law is the law of this house. You bless each person by name. You bless the husband who has been difficult. You bless the wife who has been wounded. You bless the child whose heart has been confused. You bless the old parent, the relative, the one who seems hard, the one who seems far away. You refuse accusation in prayer. You do not stand before the Father as the prosecuting attorney of your family. You take the place of love in intercession. Oh, what a change comes when prayer ceases to be complaint and becomes priesthood. Father, I bless them. I ask that love shall touch them. I ask that wisdom shall guide them. I ask that peace shall guard this house. I refuse bitterness. I refuse fear. I refuse to rehearse their failures before you as though you did not love them. I stand with your love for them.
I stand against every spirit of strife, every spirit of confusion, every old habit of cruel speech, every dominion of selfishness. In the name of Jesus, peace rule here. That is prayer authority. That is love taking its place. And then, when the prayer is ended, obedience begins. The voice must obey the prayer. The hands must obey the prayer. The face must obey the prayer. The next conversation must obey the prayer. If confession is needed, love goes and says, "Forgive me. I have allowed self to rule my words. I have answered out of hurt. I have made you pay for my pain." If blessing is needed, love gives it. If silence is needed, love keeps it clean. Not the silence of punishment, but the silence that refuses to wound. If action is needed, love acts. It pays the bill if it can. It prepares the meal without resentment. It corrects the child without anger. It speaks the truth without poison in it. You see, the authority that changes a home is released when selfishness is denied the throne and love is given right of way. Not tomorrow. Not when everyone else is different. Not when the situation has become easy. From this hour. The praying heart says, "Love shall govern me first." Then the home comes under another influence. The atmosphere begins to feel another law. The old harshness loses its confidence. The old accusations lose their music. The old self-life is denied its dominion. God is love. We are born of God. We have His nature in us. Therefore we are not helpless before the temper of the house, the memory of the house, the fear of the house, or the selfishness of the house. We are going to let love rule. We are going to let love speak. We are going to let love pray. We are going to let love obey after prayer has been spoken. And as love is given right of way, the home begins to breathe under the government of heaven. And now the home cannot keep this secret to itself. When the love law has begun to govern the breakfast table, it will not stop at the door. If love can rule the words spoken over the morning meal, love can rule the words spoken in the office. If love can rule the marriage conversation when nerves are tired and memories are tender, love can rule business dealings where men are tempted to be sharp, selfish, and unfair. If love can rule the family budget when there is not enough for every desire, love can make giving beautiful. You see, a love home is a social revolution in miniature. The world is not merely waiting for arguments about Christianity. It has heard many arguments. It has seen creeds written, sermons preached, songs sung, and prayers offered. But it is hungry to see the Jesus kind of love take flesh in ordinary human relationships. It wants to see whether God's nature can govern a husband when he is disappointed, a wife when she is weary, a parent when the child is difficult, a child when authority crosses his will. It wants to know whether the new creation life can stand the pressure of bills, sickness, misunderstanding, neighbors, work, church, and daily duty. And when a home comes under the love law, it becomes an answer that can be seen. Can you imagine what it would mean in a street if one home were safe, warm, disciplined, generous, and spiritually fragrant? Not a weak home. Not a sentimental home where wrong is called right and selfishness is excused in the name of peace. No, a home where truth walks in tenderness, where correction is clean, where authority is not tyranny, where service is not slavery, where money is handled under love, where hospitality has no pride in it, where the stranger feels rest, where the wounded one feels that harshness will not meet him at the door. That home would preach. It would preach to the neighbor who has lost faith in marriage. It would preach to the child who has seen only quarrels. It would preach to the lonely old heart that has expected neglect. It would preach to the man from the office who thought religion was only words. For love is revolutionary. The Jesus kind of love cannot be confined to Sunday. It moves from the prayer closet to the table, from the table to the workshop, from the workshop to the church, from the church to the marketplace. If a man has learned to deny selfishness at home, he can deny it in business. If a woman has learned to speak love words in the kitchen, she can carry that fragrance into the store, the school, the office, and the place of service. If the family has learned to bless instead of accuse, they can become a blessing to the poor, the sick, the difficult, the misunderstood. Love never remains idle. God is love, and love is always giving itself. The home is not an escape from ministry.
It is the first field where the believer proves the reality of the new life. Many have wanted a platform while neglecting the room where God first asked them to walk in love. Many have wanted to teach nations while their own table was under the dominion of self. But the Father is calling for love homes, homes where Jesus is not a doctrine hanging on the wall, but Lord in the conversation. Homes where the Spirit of God is not grieved by bitterness. Homes where the children breathe peace, the guest feels welcome, the poor are remembered, and the family name becomes associated with kindness, firmness, and faith. This revelation is now a responsibility. If God has put His nature in us, if we are born of God, if the love of God has been shed abroad in our hearts, then we owe the world a demonstration. We owe our children more than instruction. We owe our neighbors more than opinions. We owe the church more than attendance. We owe the marketplace more than cleverness. We owe them the love life. The love home becomes a witness to a loveless world. It says that God can govern ordinary human life. It says that heaven can touch breakfast, bills, bedsides, business, correction, hospitality, and conflict. It says that the Jesus kind of love is not a dream for angels, but the law of the new creation in men and women here and now. And once you have seen it, you cannot lay it aside as though it were only a beautiful thought. It is in your hands now. Love has asked for right of way. And now, what are you going to do about it? Not what is your husband going to do, not what is your wife going to do, not what are the children going to do, not what is the difficult one in the house going to do, but what are you going to do about the love nature of God in you? You see, this is no longer merely a message to admire. It is no longer a beautiful vision of what a home might be. If you are born of God, God is love, and His nature is in you. The question now is whether that nature shall have right of way. Do not wait until the atmosphere changes. Do not wait until the other voice softens. Do not wait until the old wound has explained itself, until pride has been satisfied, until reason has found a safe path where love will cost nothing. Love never begins its reign by asking selfishness for permission. Love takes the throne when the recreated spirit bows to the Father and says, "Thy nature shall govern me." Give your spirit right away. Give your tongue right away. Give your temper right away. Give your memory right away. Give the wounded places right away. Give the right to retaliate right away. Give the last word, the sharp answer, the cruel repetition, the hidden accusation, the old record of wrongs. Lay them at the feet of the Master. Can you see what it would mean if this hour became the hour of enthronement? The room may look the same, the furniture may be where it was, the unpaid bill may still be on the table, the difficult heart may still be difficult, the silence may still be there. But in you something mighty has happened. Love has been given legal rule. The old self-life has been denied the throne. The Jesus kind of love has been allowed to speak through your lips, look through your eyes, move through your hands, and interpret your memories. That is the beginning of a new government in the home. Do not let the impulse of the Spirit die while pride writes another excuse. Pride is a skilled writer. It can write excuses on the walls of the heart. It can say, "Not now, not first, not after what they did, not until they understand, not until they apologize, not until I feel it." But sense knowledge has always argued against love. Reason has always been self-assertive when the cross is near. The love way does not ask, "What will preserve my pride?" It asks, "What will give the Father's nature expression here?" And when you know what love would do, delay becomes dangerous. The light you refuse today may not shine as tenderly tomorrow. The soft movement in your spirit must be obeyed. So go, if love bids you go. Make the apology. Do not make a sermon of it. Do not explain until the apology loses its fragrance. Say, "Forgive me. I spoke out of hurt. I allowed self to rule my words. I should not have said that." Speak the blessing where you have spoken criticism. Stop the cruel repetition that has kept yesterday alive. Pray over the rooms of your house. Stand in the kitchen and say, "Love shall serve here." Stand by the table and say, "Love shall speak here." Stand in the bedroom and say, "Peace shall rest here." Stand where tears have fallen and say, "Bitterness shall not reign here." If it is possible, gather the family. If it is not possible, gather them before the Father by name. Let love be heard somewhere in that home today. And now let your heart pray. Father, love is your nature, and your nature is in me. I am born of you, and you are love. From this hour, let the Jesus kind of love rule this home through me. Let love rule my spirit. Let love rule my tongue. Let love rule my temper. Let love rule my memory. Let love rule the places where I have been wounded. Let love rule when I am tired, when I am misunderstood, when I am tempted to answer harshly, when reason tells me to protect myself by becoming hard. I deny selfishness the throne. I deny bitterness the throne. I deny fear the throne. Jesus is Lord here, and the love law shall have right of way in me. You see, this is where authority begins. It begins when the heart stops asking love to wait outside the door. It begins when the believer says, "I will walk in love whether another walks with me or not. I will give love its voice whether another understands it or not. I will let God's nature govern me before I demand that God change them." That is not defeat. That is victory in its first form. That is the Lamb conquering in an ordinary house. That is heaven entering the human atmosphere through a yielded son or daughter of God. We are going to walk in love. We are going to let love rule over reason. We are going to let love rule over memory. We are going to let love rule over speech. We are going to let love govern the table, the bedroom, the nursery, the sick room, the budget, the correction, the confession, and the daily burden. We are going to make our homes love homes. We are going to prove that the new creation life is not a doctrine only, but a living law for human conduct. The situation may not be changed in a moment, but the throne in the home can change now. The face of things may look as it did an hour ago, but the government can be different. Love can take its rightful place. God is love. Love never faileth. And from this hour, in this house, through this yielded heart, the Jesus kind of love shall have right of way.